Do you like Blue Bloods? Have you been a longtime fan? Well, if you are a fan of the show, then you're going to like what we're talking about in this video. That's right, we're going to be talking about the star who was left in tears when she joined Donnie Wahlberg on a new project. If you want to know everything Blue Bloods related, then make sure to keep watching. First up, Vanessa Ray is emotional. Vanessa Ray plays Eddie, Marie Janko-Reagan on Blue Bloods. Her character is a long-serving police officer in the NYPD. Thankfully, it isn't always stressful when they're on set because they do let their hair down every once in a while. An example is when Donnie Wahlberg invited several friends to help New Kids on the Block recreate some iconic 1990s pop videos. Who wouldn't love to do that with them? If you don't already know, their mixtape tour starts in June this year, and to help them spread the word, we had some members of the cast of Blue Bloods dress up and rock out. How did Ray help out, you might be wondering? Well, she got to be in the video, bring back the time, so she was able to live out her 80s life all over again. She took to Instagram and told her followers about the project, and she was so excited. Obviously, emotions were running high, and she did admit to crying when Donnie showed her the final project. The video she was in on YouTube, so you can check it out if you want to. Also, she shared a lot of the behind-the-scenes clips from the filming day, which many people enjoyed watching. This was a really important project to Donnie because he said that it plays homage to the particular time in his life. Also, it was when the band's fans and them all finally met, and that they're keeping the promise to bring it back to life. Well, I think that all sounds very sweet and heartwarming, don't you? Have you seen the video on YouTube? Will you be seeing them in concert? Next, Tom Selleck tries not to break down during this episode. It's hard to picture Tom Selleck crying, but he did get emotional over the episode Guilt. That episode was the 250th episode of the show, which is a really big achievement. Considering how shows never stay on air for that long anymore, before the show was released, Tom Selleck answered a few questions about Frank. He was asked what his favorite episode was, and it was one from 2011. It was revealed that the episode that is Selleck's favorite is The Job, which was the 12th episode of the second season. That was the episode where you find out Frank was in the World Trade Center's North Tower on 9/11, and he said that 9/11 was still really fresh in people's minds. During the filming of that episode, Selleck needed to be strong, but he definitely felt like he wanted to cry during it. Also, Blue Bloods was the first show allowed to show the Trade Center Memorial right after it was done being built. Filming that episode would make anyone emotional, and we're not surprised that it made Selleck feel that way. That episode was emotional because we also saw Frank lose his friend, John, in the episode. We found out that it was due to respiratory issues, and Frank ended up living with the survivor's guilt because of it. Luckily, we saw him get the help he needed. Do you remember that episode? How did it make you feel? Up next, MARISA Ramirez talks about her first Blue Bloods dinner scene. In season 12, we saw Donnie Reagan finally bring his longtime partner to join him at the notorious Reagan family dinner table. We all know that these family dinner scenes have been an integral part of the show for all 12 seasons and are very much a staple. It's become so iconic to fans that they've even begun demanding to have a full episode of just the dinner scenes. Maybe they'll give it to us one day. Anyway, the dinner scenes have always brought the cast and characters together. However, Maria Baez, who was first introduced in season 3, was never invited to a family dinner. Dan Levine, the actress of Maria Baez, did open up about what it was like to sit at that family table for the first time in 2021. Apparently, Wahlberg had been pushing for this to happen for 8 years when it finally did. She was very emotional about it. She said in an interview that it was emotional and nerve-wracking for her because this was the first time she had been in the room with so many people without having a mask on. Everyone had been tested for COVID, but being around so many people after being in isolation was anxiety-inducing for her, which is understandable because I think we all felt that at some point. Another reason why it was emotional for her was because her grandmother had just passed away 2 weeks prior to them shooting the scene. Her grandmother was a huge fan of the show. Levine wanted to say something to Selleck at the time, but didn't say anything because she was still very emotional about her grandmother's passing. She was worried that she would come off strange and would not be invited back again. However, Levine made sure to keep her composure and professionalism intact because she knew what this meant. it. Also, she said that her grandmother was giving her strength to do the episode to the best of her abilities. Well, we're happy that she was able to complete this episode and get that scene done because she did an amazing job. Also, we're sure her grandmother is very proud of her. Would you be emotional if you were invited to a Reagan family dinner? Remember to keep watching because we have some more Blue Bloods news for you. Now, the ratings for Blue Bloods might shock you. Blue Bloods is a funny one because you don't ever hear about it on any form of social media and it's never really in the news. But the show is very successful. I mean, it must be one of the most popular TV shows out there. How do we know this? Well, the ratings don't lie. I'll tell you about that. Blue Bloods isn't drawing in on a lot of younger people. We think that might be because it comes on Friday nights and that's when 18 to 49-year-olds are usually out and about. However, every week the show is pulling in around 6 million households. No wonder why the show is still doing so well. It's been 12 seasons and the people who watch the show will continue to watch it. Have you watched it every week? Did someone else get you into Blue Bloods? Next, the Catholic League didn't get an episode. Catholic League is a very Catholic advocacy organization, and they were praising Blue Bloods at one point. This is because they said that the show treated Catholicism fairly. I didn't know it wasn't treated fairly in other shows, did you? Anyway, it was because Frank Reagan was a devoted churchgoer who continued to practice his faith. However, that ended up changing in 2014. Catholic League ended up getting a lot of mail that was just filled with complaints about the show. What were they complaining about? Well, Frank had said in an episode that the Catholic Church was a little behind the times when it came to homosexuality. I mean, I think maybe the church is a little behind the times when it comes to all acceptance, but who am I to say anything? Anyways, then you saw that there was a cardinal struggling with his sexual identity and a lesbian nun on the show. Obviously, Catholic League was not happy at all and ended up telling CBS that the show was committing suicide and that it was attacking Catholics. However, it's now 2022 and the show is still on and it has amazing ratings, so I don't think the show has done very badly for itself. Did you know that the Catholic League did this? What do you think about what they said to CBS about the show? Is Blue Bloods too pro-police? To combat the Catholic League, there was a leftist group that said another episode in 2014 was too pro-cop and even called it fascist cop propaganda. The episode we're talking about is the one where Donnie Reagan chases an African-American suspect who then jumped out of a third-story window. Danny is then left to deal with claims of a police brutality and how some African-American leaders were trying to take him down and started bringing up past violent actions he had towards suspects. Laura Hudson wrote a think piece for Slate and said that the Reagans think of themselves as good people who believe in justice and equality, but that is because they live in a system that is rigged to favor them. Very interesting thoughts there if you ask me. What do you think? Do you think Blue Bloods is too pro-cop sometimes? Anyways, that's the end of this video. Have you seen the music video? Would you get emotional if you were invited to the Reagan family dinner? Do you think this show has overstepped the line every once in a while? Let us know what you think down below.